So, you want an aviation career in the military? Well, if you're getting ready to take the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, or ASVAB, you need to understand how it's scored and what it means for your career. Well, there are actually a few different scores for this one test, so stick with me and I'll explain it all. Welcome to the US Military Test Prep channel by Study.com. My name is Corey, I'm a CBRN Specialist in the US Army Reserve and an ASVAB test prep expert. In today's video, I'm going to cover everything you need to know about understanding your scores on the ASVAB if you're looking to enlist and begin a career in aviation. I'll also explain how those numbers translate into jobs for pilots, aircrew, and aviation maintenance. It's super important. Your scores on the ASVAB determine your eligibility for enlistment, and they have a lot to do with your job opportunities, training paths, and career advancement in the military. Let's get started by breaking down the scoring system and how you can find the best aviation career for you. The ASVAB has 9 or 10 subtests depending on if you're taking the paper or computerized version. These subtests assess your knowledge in different areas like general science, arithmetic reasoning, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, and mathematics knowledge. Word knowledge and paragraph comprehension are added together to get your verbal expression score. The other areas are electronics information, auto and shop information, mechanical comprehension, and assembling objects. You'll get a standard score for each of the subtests. So, what is a standard score? It's basically how you stack up against other people your age, specifically 18 to 23 years old, in the US. The average score is a 50, and the scoring system is built around that. 50 is your baseline, and a 10-point difference shows how far above or below average you are. So a 60 means above average, and a 40 means below average. Higher scores show off your strengths in certain areas, which can be a game changer for landing specific aviation jobs in the military. You also get a percentile rank. This shows how your performance compares to others. For example, a percentile rank of 75 means you scored better than 75% of standard test takers. Here's where it gets a bit more customized though. The military uses composite scores, also known as line scores, to figure out what jobs you're best suited for. These scores come from combining your standard scores in related areas. Each branch of the military does have its own way of calculating these because different aviation roles require different skills. For example, in aviation careers, pilots and flight officers need strong mathematics knowledge and mechanical comprehension scores. Aircraft technicians need high electronics information and mechanical comprehension scores. And finally, aircrew members may require a mix of word knowledge, arithmetic reasoning, and mechanical comprehension. Your military branch will add together your standard scores in different combinations for different jobs. If the sum of your scores is equal to or greater than the minimum required score, you may be eligible for the job. Be sure to do some research on what combination of subtest scores the aviation job you're aiming for requires. Then you can really focus on the subtests you might want to spend some extra time prepping for. An important note here, if you want to be a pilot or flight officer, your ASVAB scores do matter, but officer selection is also based on specific aviation tests each branch of the military has. So definitely look into these requirements for the branch you want to enlist in. Your Armed Forces Qualifying Test, or AFQT score, might just be the most important score as it decides whether you can enlist at all. Each branch sets its own minimum score, so you have to clear that bar to move forward. The AFQT comes from a combination of your scores on 4 key subtests. These subtests include arithmetic reasoning, which has basic math word problems, and mathematics knowledge, which includes a variety of math concepts. The other 2 subtests are word knowledge, which tests vocabulary and word meanings, and paragraph comprehension, which measures how well you can understand written materials. Your AFQT score is a percentile ranking, meaning if you score a 60, you did better than 60% of standard test takers. Each military branch does have its own standard. Let's talk numbers and take a closer look at the minimum AFQT score you need to enlist in each branch of the military. You'll need a high school diploma or GED to qualify for most branches of the military. The Navy no longer requires it as long as you score a 50 on the AFQT. For branches that still require a GED or diploma, the required score varies though, depending on which one you have. If you've passed the GED exam, you'll need to aim for a score of at least 50. With a high school diploma, that's where scores are a little more varied. You'll need a minimum score of 31 for the Air Force, Army, and Marine Corps. The Coast Guard requires a 36, which is the highest required AFQT score. If you want to enlist in the Navy, you'll need at least a 35. If your AFQT score is higher than the minimum, that's amazing. This opens up additional job options, potentially more career growth, and maybe even some bonuses. So, how should you actually interpret your scores? Well, here's the deal. If you're getting low scores in certain areas, it doesn't mean you can't work in aviation. It just might limit your options when it comes to certain jobs. For example, if your score on the electronics information subtest is low, a role as a technician might be a little bit of a stretch, but you could still qualify for plenty of other roles. Make sure you review the score requirements for the specific job you're aiming for. Meeting with a recruiter from the military branch you want to join could also be very helpful. They can help walk you through the score requirements for different job options, help you understand what you're qualified for, and give you tips on how to improve if you need to. And if your AFQT score isn't high enough to enlist, don't sweat it. You can always retake the ASVAB. You'll need to wait 30 days before your first 2 retakes, and after that, it's a 6-month wait if you want to try again. So use the time you have to your advantage. Interpreting your scores really comes down to 2 questions. Are you eligible, and what specific jobs are you interested in? If you have a goal in mind, it's easier to make sense of your results and set a game plan. Look at your ASVAB scores and identify your strengths to help you choose the best fit for a military aviation role. If you excel in the electronics section, you might want to explore aviation-related jobs such as avionics technician, where you'll work on aircraft electrical and electronic components. If math is your strong suit, technical positions like crew chief or flight operations specialist could be a great fit, focusing on aircraft maintenance, flight planning, or operational support. Think about your interests too. Do you enjoy working with your hands and solving complex problems? Well, a role like an aviation maintenance technician might be perfect, where you'll maintain and repair aircraft systems. If you're passionate about flight, becoming a pilot, flight crew member, or air traffic controller could be best for you. Let's talk about some steps you can take to improve your scores and better position yourself for the aviation jobs you want. First, pinpoint weak areas. Look at which subtests brought your score down. Next, study smarter. Spend more time on the sections you struggled with, especially the ones involved in computing the minimum score for the job you are aiming for. Since many aviation jobs require strong scores in math, mechanics, and electronics, you might want to prioritize those. Using good study resources can make a big difference. Study.com's ASVAB test prep resources can help with personalized plans and practice tests to get you on track. In fact, 92% of users pass the ASVAB after prepping with Study.com. Taking a practice test can zero in on what you know and what you don't. Watch lessons to review material you are less confident in, and if you feel like you know a topic well, do some practice problems and quiz yourself. If you notice you're missing a lot, go back and review a lesson to make sure you know the material. A solid prep plan can always help boost your score. If you're prepping for the ASVAB, consider using Study.com's ASVAB study guide and test prep resources and zero in on what you need to study. And remember, even if you don't get the score for the role you wanted, there might be other aviation jobs that would be a good fit for you. The goal is to maximize your strengths. And that's the rundown on ASVAB scores for the military and what they mean for your aviation career. Whether you're just starting to study or already have some scores to interpret, understanding what these numbers mean can help you begin your military career with some confidence and find the best job for you. Remember, your score is key for enlistment, and higher scores open up more career opportunities, training paths, and potential bonuses. So you don't want to sleep on your prep for this critical test. If this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment with any questions or topics you want us to cover, and don't forget to subscribe for more US military test prep content. Stand by, stay frosty. See you in the next one.